Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Survivor Social, the social podcast where we discuss Survivor with a focus on the social elements of the game. My name is Tegwyth, and we have a great episode today to talk about maybe the best episode of the season. As always, Cara, my incredible co-host, is here. Cara, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
Yeah, it's such, I cannot wait to get into it, but I just want to say we have an incredible guest with us. Frannie from Survivor 44 is here. Frannie, how are you? What's up?
Oh, I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so hyped. Like you said, maybe the best episode of the season. So I feel like I slotted in for a good recap this week.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only we have Frannie joining us, we also have Flat Frannie that I got. If you know Flat Stanley, we have a Frannie cookie that I got last year at the Ron Clark event, which I'm also going to next week. I don't know why I still have this, but it's also iconic.
Yeah, it also begs a couple of questions. Like, I'm just shocked that it's like still, why is it not rotten? You know, like there's a couple questions here.
I did eat a couple of other of these. Should I be questioning what was in them? Because it held up so well. It held up so well. Frannie, how are you feeling about 46 so far?
Better after last night. No, I've been loving it. I mean, I always love Survivor. I think that this is the first season in a while where I haven't felt super like involved. Like 43, I knew almost all the players like before their season aired. Same with 45. And this season, I supposed to say I've met a couple of them, but I don't feel as involved. Like so it's fun to watch from a more like separate perspective and get back into just like what I liked about the show. But I will say that it felt a little slow for a second there. So I'm glad that we're picking the pace back up. Finally, somebody besides Yanu. I'm feeling good about it. Exactly.
Cara, how do you feel about the season after this last episode?
I feel so much better about it. I really liked this last episode. It was so much better than the episode before. No offense to the episode before, but this one was a lot better, more enjoyable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, meeting new people is always a great. I mean, I know we're not really meeting them, but we kind of are. Like it
feels like you are. Like, yeah, especially somebody like Tim. Oh, Tim cracked me up this episode. I literally like Tiki Man. When am I gonna poop? That's my new catchphrase. Like, I need to get that on a shirt.
That is a shirt material.
That's shirt material, but like I feel like we've seen so little of him, so it's fun people like that to like re-meet them and sort of start to understand why they're so fun, why they were cast on the show.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Before we dig into the episode much further, everyone who's watching, make sure to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. And as a reminder, everyone watching, we are live. So, I mean, not if you're listening on Spotify, but we are live. So if you're in the comments, make sure to talk with us, chat. If you have any questions, we are going to get to some questions at the end. We have a good amount, but we also want to hear the people who are watching live. But let's get into the episode. I want to start off with a question for both of you. Cara, I'll start with you. How did you feel about the last time on Survivor kind of giving away what was going to be important on the episode?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I didn't mind it, but I did think it was like interesting that they showed all of that, and then it makes you, I feel like, think differently going into the episode and you're expecting things to come. So
yeah, Frannie, same question. How did you feel about that? Did you notice it or?
Yeah, oh God, I feel like I'm a rabid animal when those like previously on when they appear, because it's like it is practically, giving you an exact play-by-play of what you need to know and what's going to happen. I kind of liked that period where we didn't have them, because I feel like if you're keeping up with the season, either you're watching everything back to back later or you're watching it week to week. Really, we should probably remember like what's going on. I feel like it's not super necessary, and yeah, this week it totally tuned me to things that I need to pay attention to, kind of gave some stuff away. And then also, an aside, since you brought it up, the previously on, did we need to show Banu being so upset again in the previously on? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad for him.
I will say I did smile when I saw Jelinski. Cara, how did you feel about seeing Jelinski in episode 4? Cara,
I'm so happy to see him again. Yeah.
Noted Jelinski stan.
Jelinski stands over here. Absolutely. We obviously start out at Yanu. When haven't we this season starting off at Yanu? Here's the question though. They were talking about, like, Kenzie, I think specifically was like, we're the worst tribe in Survivor history. Are they? I don't think they really are. Maybe in the new era, but not even, because Ua in 41 went down to 2 people.
Yeah, I mean, Oolong was my literal first thought. I was like, one cannot get worse than that, going down to like one tribe member.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's as far as they knew, they've obviously not seen season 45. So I think there's a case to be made for like Lulu versus what are they? Yanu.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ua as well. There've been some bad tribes, but I can see how if you're there, it feels like you're the worst, you know?
Yeah. And they've only ever really won one challenge. They won one reward. So I feel like, you know, Lulu didn't they even win or they got something at the very, very beginning. They didn't win the immunity. Didn't they, that first, when they hit the beach, didn't they get like a flint or something at the beginning? Or at least did they get this savvy? Or am I making that up? Because I felt like they got because Yanu has lost even the sweat and savvy. So like
wait.
No winning.
It's coming back to me. Nobody won sweat and savvy in 45 because it was that like insane puzzle that is like unsolvable with the like looping and the whatever.
Yes, you're right.
And they had to carry the logs. So I think nobody got that.
You're right.
But then it felt more even or something.
Yeah, because they were doing it together, right? It was Sabaya and somebody else, and I just remember Sabaya doing it.
Sabaya, Caleb, Brando, and Jay Cocaine. Yeah.
While we're talking about Yanu, I know we're skipping a little bit, but I just want to talk about, and I'm literally tearing up, like even thinking about it. When Yanu won, can we talk about that slow motion shot?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was so cool.
It was, and I saw a tweet from Mike Bloom. If you don't follow Mike Bloom on Twitter, you should.
What are you doing?
I know, right? What are you doing? Did you see he did a compilation of like different slow motion shots in Survivor history, or like at the end of challenges, and there have only been 3. According to Mike Bloom. I didn't do independent research, so somebody else can go fact check Mike Bloom. But it was when Matt Singh lost one of theirs. So it was a slow motion of them missing the slingshot. Then it was when...
And it was another slingshot as well?
All 3 were slingshots. All 3 were slingshots. It was Ua also missing a slingshot when they were only 3 people and when they were going down to 2 in 41. And so I from what I saw, this is the first time in Survivor history that a slow motion shot at the end of a challenge when the person actually won.
Has been used for good.
Has been used for good.
Not for evil.
Not evil.
That's cool.
I thought it added so much. Like literally, I was rewatching the episode today for this, and like I got tingles all over my body when I saw it because it was so special, and I love that they like fall to the ground and stuff. It was so cute.
It was so cute, and I just also want to say the editing in the new era is one of my favorites. I love when they play, like, you know, between Tevin opened up the season, but we also saw like some really fun editing. Cara, I don't know if you remember when in the episode when Hunter was moving around his challenge and we got to see some flashbacks. Cara, how did you feel about the flashbacks?
I thought they were cool. I liked them. I liked the little
we saw
flashbacks
into Parvati. We saw who else? We saw Boston Rob. I loved that. Frannie, do you like when they like go all nostalgic on us?
Yeah, I thought it was delicious. It was so much fun. Honestly, okay, of all the flashbacks, hot take, my favorite was the Debbie one. Debbie's like, and I'm pissed. And then they let it sit, they let her cook for a second. Oh, it was so funny. Because it's like, it just reminds you, honestly, I texted this to a couple people, but like watching Hunter go through that like journey challenge, like it made me want to rewatch all the seasons. I was like, damn, this is a good show. Like, I got to see all these moments again. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was such good, like fan service, but it was awesome.
But it was, and I mean, that challenge was really for the fans. Like, it was like, who's the biggest Survivor super fan here? And if you are a Survivor super fan and you did not try to pause the screen right when all of those things went up, are you even a Survivor super fan? Frannie, did you do it?
Yeah. Okay. So I was watching with Helen for my season and Matt, and we did pause, and Matt was like, I don't know. So he was the like checker, and then Helen and I were doing it, and we got one flipped, so we did not get it. Which
that's pretty good.
We were really close. So here's actually, I'll tell you what we flipped. We psyched ourselves out because I was telling the fun fact about how. What was it? I think Co Wrong was filmed before Game Changers, but then, or not Game Changers, Second Chance, but then Second Chance was released first. And as I was saying said fun fact, Matt gave like a look that sort of implied that I was like wrong. And so then we panicked and we flipped them. And then,
that's so you know. Yeah, I saw another tweet. I forget who it was of, and he was like, "I would be that nerd who would like be like, is it in the order it was filmed or the order that it was
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I think Hunter was like super fair because I only started watching Survivor. The first season I ever saw was season 28, and then went back. And so I did not watch them in chronological order. So I think it is hard if you're a newer fan, even if you're a huge fan, to know the numbers. So I don't know, it makes it a particularly fun challenge. I loved though when they were reading like what the challenge was going to be. I feel like Q was like, "Don't make me." I thought that was funny.
And I love that. Yeah, I don't know, Cara, how do you feel? Do you think you could have gotten it?
No, I don't think I would have gotten it.
No? Because I am deluded enough that I think I could have gotten it.
I feel like, yeah. Did you pause it and did you get it?
I did pause it and I did get it. I paused it, but I was watching it I just flew in from my hometown in Florida today, from Florida to where I live in New York. And my parents have a TV that is from, I'm not even joking, 2006. And it is so fuzzy. So when I paused it, the like logos, I could not read South Pacific. I had no idea what it was. It was like they had taken it off. So I was like, I know that this is mostly right, but like, I don't know what this is and what this is. So but later on in the day, I tested to see if I could get just all 46 in a row. Yeah. And I did, except for, I always forget Nicaragua's name.
Oh.
I don't know why. I just go 21 with Fabio. What is it called? And then I freak out.
But that's the official name.
That is
colloquially known as Nicaragua, but that's the full name. Yeah,
exactly. I will say, how do you guys feel about challenges that like kind of challenge the brain? Like it's almost like this almost felt like an old school challenge where it's almost like one of those quizzes that they used to do. Did you like when we saw something slightly like off the norm, Frannie?
I loved it. Yeah, I also kind of got a similar, like a brain challenge with Jem getting her idol, which we'll get to. But like, I liked that too, like having to do a little mental math or do something a little bit funky. But yeah, I love the trivia. This also has a similar tilt to me as the immunity challenge, where they would like ask the tribe questions about people and then have them like vote on who got the most responses. I just think stuff like that is fun, and it works like a different muscle and gives different players a chance to shine.
Absolutely. Cara, did you like to see this kind of like different challenge as well? Was it like, because I feel like a lot of challenges nowadays are just kind of the same thing over and over again, but now we're seeing a little bit more of that like diversity in challenges.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was so simple, and I like when things are simple like that. I like the simple challenges, and it was just fun. It was just a fun one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say, like what you just said about, more diversity in challenges. I agree that I think this was a good change, but noticed that none of the immunity challenges so far have ended with a like equalizer puzzle. The only the most we've had was the like thing that they had to build, which was, they did have to get the letters in the right way, but it felt more physical to me, like holding it up than a puzzle.
That's such a good observation. I didn't notice that. I wonder where that is.
My pet theory is that after Carson like broke our puzzle system in 44, they were like, no more puzzles for a little bit. Yeah. But
44 should be reading Game Changers because so many things happened. Claire changed the game, Carson changed the game, sit out bench,
Yeah.
Incredible.
Game Changers. Yeah. Get rid of the original game. We can scrap.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. Just now 44. We have a comment. Chris in the comments says, I personally did a chronological order watch. It took 2 years, so he thinks he would have gotten it. I don't know that many people who have done a chronological order watch because I didn't do that. Yeah. That's why I have trouble with the 30s. The 30s is the hardest for me because I went all over the map for the 30s. I did not watch that in order at all.
That's me for 9 through 16. I'm like, they could be any order to me. They're just old. They all look old. They all feel old.
I totally get that.
I mean, they're good. Nobody come for me in the comments, but yeah, impressive. Please, God.
So after, let's go back to the beginning. Sorry, I derailed us a little bit, but after we went from to Yanu, we went to Siga, and we get to talk to Ben a little bit. We get to talk about whatever. I just want to talk about how Ben had this line that I want to just highlight for a second. He goes, anytime you suffer is another opportunity to learn the depths of your mind. Yeah, this man has so many, he's a multi-dimensional person.
Yeah.
Because he's like, that rocks, that doesn't rock. But then he also comes out with, you learn the depths of your mind. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I adore. I need to know if that's an original quote or if that's like a Metallica lyric. You know, it's really hard to tell sometimes.
No, I always feel like whenever Charlie's talking, it's like a hidden Taylor Swift lyric. And whenever Ben is talking, it's like a hidden, like,
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Oh God, get him out. What do you mean?
Special guest alert. Special guest alert.
Uh-oh, where did I put the car keys? I'm sorry, guys.
No.
This is live. Have you checked all my
comments? Where did you put your car keys?
Check my black vest pocket, or my jean jacket.
Y'all want to know where he's going?
Domestic life with Matt and Frannie. He's going to taiko practice. Matt does taiko, which is Japanese drumming. Yeah.
So Ryan, Ryan's my boyfriend. Before we started this whole thing, Ryan wanted to know how his band is doing.
Oh, okay. Wow, very exciting. So, pertinent time to ask. So we are still, basically they have their like, you know, really exciting, like first very public performance this Saturday, but we're currently waiting to see if it's going to get rained out. And that would be very sad. So either they will be like debuting this Saturday in the Peace Plaza in Japantown in San Francisco, or we will be doing like a makeup debut in a couple weeks, also in Japantown. So it's very exciting. I'm really hyped about it.
Very exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was like right before we went live, or right before I even got on here. He was like, "Ask about the band. Ask about the band." And I was like,
"Yes." Sayonara picnic.
We cover the important things here on Survivor Social. It's also our own social lives, not just about Survivor. Everybody.
Yeah, come on.
We're multi-dimensional people, just like Ben.
Yeah, just like Ben. Just like Ben, we're musicians, we're fans, we're everything.
We're everything. We throw out the craziest lines you've ever heard in your entire life that make you question existence itself.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, we're listing song names. That's go back and forth.
Incredible. Let's go, Cara. What's band you want to do? No,
I mean, they kind of did that again this episode too.
Was that a throwback, or was that? Do you think they just do that all the time?
Because I think that's what they do for fun on the island.
Yeah. Update. We got it.
Update. We got the car keys. Yeah. Sorry. Just a quick update. Yeah. Wait. I'm curious. Like, do either of you? And maybe you talked about this the week that they did it. But like, is there a band that you could do that with?
Maybe Harry
Styles. But I don't know that I could do 100 of the Beatles. No. I could do maybe 30.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think 30 is a stretch. I can do maybe Broadway songs that are done.
That's what I was about to say. Like, if you let me do like 5 musicals, maybe.
Give me all of Hamilton plus all of Cats. I can do it in row. Do you want me to perform it for you too? Because I can.
Yeah. You're like, okay, tribe, sit down. I'm actually going to one woman show, all of Cats right now. They're like, oh God, we gotta vote her out.
We're out here. We gotta pull the challenge.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh my gosh, incredible. And I love that they had that like connection. Let's talk about the Charlie and Ben connection, because that's something that I didn't realize was so deep. And you could argue that Charlie saved Ben today. I mean, we didn't see a ton, but what we did see was Maria going, I don't know, I trust the women a little bit more. And Charlie going, I really want to keep Ben. I really want to keep Ben. And they kept Ben. So Frannie, how did you feel about that? Like their connection and kind of seeing like basically Charlie saved Ben in kind of a way in this episode.
Yeah, so that whole kind of arc, I don't know, there's a lot to unpack there, because I feel like this episode was also the first time that we heard a lot of different players talking about how Ben is a big social threat, which I think, we've all been enjoying watching him, but it's another thing to have other players say like, he is the most likable guy in the world and he's such a big threat. So, I worry for him, but it's also fun to hear other people say that. I love those two together, Charlie and Ben. I think it's so cute. I adore that alliance. But yeah, I think Charlie definitely did seem to get his way. I was really happy that, at least in the conversation they saw, I think we can assume that conversation went on a lot longer. They really talked through all their options and made a decision. I love that Charlie is going to Maria, and they're doing that as a pair and really talking through everything together. And I think both Charlie and Maria have really strong gameplay right now. And I think kind of situating themselves as the core is so the right move there, even if Charlie feels like an affinity with Ben.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Chris added into it. Chris thinks that Charlie definitely did save Ben. And let's talk about Ben also a little bit, Cara. How would you feel about being on an island with Ben? Obviously, he's a lot of fun, but from a strategy standpoint, would you feel threatened by a player like Ben, or how would you feel about that?
I mean, I think he would be so much fun to have on your tribe, but I think he'd be a good shield going into maybe the merge, because people are going to be looking at him, not looking at you as much, maybe. So I think he has like his pros and cons, but I feel like keeping him was the right move over Jem.
Yeah, I totally get that. And also it was interesting because we saw in that same segment when like Ben he was talking about how hard Survivor was. We also saw the women of Siga on the beach talking about how Ben and Charlie, all Ben wanted to do was hang out with Charlie. And somebody said, but we got to Charlie first. It's cool. And then I think it was Mo. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it was Mo. Mo goes, "This is not a game of dibs. This is Survivor," which I think is a really, right?
That's a good line.
Yeah, that's a great line to pick up. I actually totally missed her saying that, but that is so, I fell into that trap when I played 100%, because you lock something in with somebody, you're like, oh, sweet, I got that figured out. And then you go and you're living your life and you don't like recall, you're so tired, you have to just constantly be checking in. Never assume that like, that relationship is still solid unless you have spoken with them and you like have confirmed it. Yeah, that's a great line.
It was a great read because obviously now we have hindsight, but she's now on the bottom of the tribe because she was blindsided. And so it exactly proved that, it's not a game of dibs, and Maria and Charlie ended up with a different group. So I thought that was a super interesting line. And Mo, I am loving her confessionals. I'm loving what she's giving us. And I'm also, she broke the M curse. Well, I guess Maria also broke the M curse.
Yeah.
No M's were voted out.
Yeah, I know. And there are 2 M's available. It's like kind of crazy. Big break of the curse.
I think
big L for the curse this week. Yeah.
Big L. I feel like that must mean one of them must win. If they broke the curse, the only person who broke the curse was Marianne.
True.
So I think it must mean that they win. And I will say, conspiracy theory time, conspiracy theory alert. Mariah got some good moments that really didn't have anything to do with the edit. There was a moment when Mariah was speaking with Charlie and saying after they lost the challenge, and she said, "I know this is so hard for you as a friend. I know this must be a very difficult decision for you. And I just wanted to check in." And that didn't really do anything. All that did was show her social game, show that she was being a person. And so is Mariah winning? Frannie, what's your take?
I loved that from her. I thought it was really strong, like social play. And I think that Mariah, though she was left out of this vote, I'm sure she's feeling a little bit down on that. I feel like she's going to be able to reintegrate into the Siga tribe very quickly. I feel like that moment with her and Charlie like felt very human. And I think that he will want to bring her back into the fold. And I think that she's going to do a really good job of like, whether she wants to get back with them or take revenge, I think she's going to be able to at least make it seem like she's kumbaya and hanging out with anybody. So I actually think she's not in as bad of a position as she should be, having just been like blindsided.
Absolutely. Carol, how'd you feel about that?
I agree. I don't think she's really in a bad spot at all. I think she'll be fine, especially going into merge or whatever. I think she'll be fine. Sorry, I also wish they would have showed more of like them, like Charlie and Maria and everything deciding on voting out Jem over Ben. I feel like they showed a little bit, but not like enough as to where we were like, okay, this is actually going to happen, which I guess they don't always do, but like a little more would have been nice.
I would love to drop a secret scene afterwards. Like if they want to keep us like on our toes, great. But like for the people who want to know what people's thought processes were, whatever, or I would love a secret scene afterwards to just kind of like give us some more perspective of why, for example, why they actually did it. And while we're talking about this, why she actually used both of her votes and why she wrote them in 2 different, she wrote Jem and then Jamila. And was there a strategy behind that, or was she just doing that to be funny? Frannie, did you notice that she wrote it in 2 different ways?
Yeah, noticed that immediately. So I think that was strategic for sure. And also my read on the situation, which I think Maria has confirmed on Twitter, but also, post hoc analysis, grains of salt. But I do believe that she wanted to use that extra vote to sort of get herself off of the hot seat. Everybody knew she had it, and to be able to say, "Yep, we used it last week to vote out Jem. She goes into a merge, clean hands." So I think that was a good move on her part. I think that the different fonts was strategic, and I love that idea in general. But in a tribe of 5 people, where there was just like a nearly unanimous vote, I don't know what it buys her, but I think like that idea is really interesting. Like if you have, a group of like 12 people voting and you're using an extra vote, great place to do 2 different fonts. But yeah, it was an interesting choice. It's 4D chess is Maria's playing right now.
Yeah, it was so interesting. And Cara, how did you feel about her essentially burning this extra vote? Did you care? Did you feel any sort of way?
No, I think it was good that she used it, got it out of the way, so like people aren't looking at her. And I also feel like going into it, like you don't know if Tim lied about losing his vote or anything, and you don't know if Ben kind of was like, oh, I don't know if I lost my vote or if I have it or not. So I feel like if she needed to use that against either one of them, she could. So I feel like it made sense, everything she did.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because at the beginning I really was against it. I was like, why did she waste it?
Mm-hmm.
But then the more I thought about it, I was like, do extra votes really do anything for people in the grand scheme of things? No, there's been one time in all of Survivor history, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, that it's actually changed the vote and and I believe it was Marianne. I could be wrong, but every other time it's either emphasized the vote or it's done nothing to really change it, right? And so and it's also public. Everyone knew that she had it. Even on the journey, Tim was like to these strangers, he was like, and Maria's got the extra vote. So is it public knowledge on her tribe? It's also public knowledge to basically everybody else. And so the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, burn it, get rid of it, especially when you're coming into the merge. And then you also get to solidify an alliance because you're like, you guys, I used this extra vote to make sure Jem was going home. I'm incredible. Look how loyal I am. And so the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, good job, Maria. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I think it's good because like you were just saying, like extra vote does not have a strong history. Like I think there's actually been a couple of instances where people have used the extra vote and then got voting out themselves. Like sometimes it's just like really not useful. And even though it is so like feels like such a small advantage, anything that sets you apart from the other people puts a target on you. Like even if it's something so worthless like an extra vote. So yeah. I loved it from Maria.
While we're talking about kind of anything to put a target on you, I really want to talk about Jem hiding the beware advantage.
Yeah, I want to talk about
because that. I will say in the very beginning when that happened, I went, I don't know that I love that she's doing that because I was worried it was going to be found out. It never really got found out. Maybe Tim had a great read, but it wasn't really like Jem did it, But what I think it did do, and I would love to hear both of your thoughts on this as well, is it did basically protect Tim because everyone was like, but Tim might have the beware advantage, but Tim, we don't want to. So, and then it all went over to Ben. And then Charlie was like, but it can't be Ben. I love Ben. And so it ended up being Jem. And I wonder if there's a world in which she didn't do this. And the target was Tim. It stayed on Tim because Charlie maybe doesn't feel as close to Tim. And then Jem is still in the game. I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole thing overall. Frannie, why don't you start?
Yeah. Okay. I have so many thoughts on this. So, and I want to like tease it out because there's a lot to it. First of all, this feels kind of like an aside, but conspiracy theory that I will not claim credit for, Matt posited, and I maybe agree with. Like I think Cara, you said just a little bit ago, like, wishing that we heard a little bit more about why Charlie and Maria ended up voting out Jem. We have a conspiracy that the Sika tribe actually did think that Jem hid the beware advantage and had it, but the edit was not showing that so that it wasn't very obvious that she was going home and they could have more of a reveal, like, oh my God, Jem was blindsided. Just a thought, because I think
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd be curious someday to hear from the Sika tribe members, like if that's the case. But I think like if you're sitting there and you're trying to like narrow down who could have hidden this beware advantage or replanted it or whatever, it's obviously not Maria. She's the one who found it. I think that like Maria would really trust Charlie not to do it. And I think that like, I don't know, just like Mo and Ben feel very easygoing and not like suspects for that. So it's like between, like, I just don't see a world where nobody brings up Jem's name as an option there. So that, you know, it had to have been discussed at some point. So that's my one thought. But in terms of hiding it or like replanting it or whatever, I thought it was fun because she's making a decision. She's adding intrigue to what was otherwise a harder episode. But to me, it feels like uncontrolled chaos. I feel like if you really want to do that, you want to replant the Beware Advantage, have somebody else find it. I don't hate the idea, but I think it needs to be in a much more controlled way where she thinks to herself, I want like Tim to find it and to think that he might have an advantage. And then she like kind of leads Tim to the spot or something. I feel like just putting it there and allowing anybody to find it is so dangerous because Jem wanted to work with Maria. And now Maria is on this wild goose chase, maybe thinks she doesn't have a vote. Like I just, it felt very uncontrolled and just for the sake of like doing something chaotic, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Cara, how did you feel about the whole replanting? Or do you think it was good for her? Do you think it was bad for her?
No, I don't think it was good for her. I think like it was a fun idea. Like it was a good idea. It was fun, but I don't think it was a necessary thing that she needed to do. I just don't think it was necessary at all. And it is a small tribe, so it's like everyone's going to be looking at someone. And yeah, I don't think it was a necessary thing. And maybe if she told someone that she was doing it, like she found it, build the trust with someone that she found this, whatever, then they could have been in on it together, and then it would have been less on Jem, and maybe she wouldn't have gone home.
Yeah.
So I think she could have went about it a little differently.
I also think it could have been really fun if she replanted it and then found it in front of everybody and then like replanted it in a different place. And then she was the one that refound it, because then if she's the one that's doing all this digging, she's like, who?
Then they'll never suspect her.
Who did this? Why would they do this to me? I've been digging for 3 days, like make a whole big deal about it. And then they would never suspect her, but then they would also like maybe take some pity on her because she was digging all this time. I don't know. I will say I was hard on the move, but I was also very grateful for the move because it happened in an episode that was a little lacking and
What if she re-hit it after she already found the idol and then planted like a fake idol in there?
But that's really
like too much after the fact.
Having already opened the box. But then by that point they would have already been going to tribal
council.
That's true.
Yeah.
But honestly, if she had stayed, I think there's so much to do here. And I'm thankful that she did it for the television's sake. I just wish that it was, I wish for her game, because I loved her as a character. I loved her as I was really rooting for her to go really far. We also got somebody, Frank added, I thought this was a really great comment. Frank said, Jem announced, let's all go idol hunting separately, which is when they came back from the challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And then they even said they all had a pattern of going everywhere in at least pairs or all 6 of them. So it was very sus right before tribal, which I think is a really great observation as well.
Yeah, I thought that came off so suspicious, and I understand that she's in a tough position where she has to go find this thing. But I think that they probably all stood around and looked at each other and were like, wait, why does she want to do that right now? It's kind of, especially also if the group, what everyone's supposed to think is that Maria found the Beware Advantage. So it's like, what do you know that we don't? Why are you going out right now? Has it already been found or something?
I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point, because why are you going idol hunting when in theory there's only one idol on the beach and it's been found, but it's really good point. And I always say this, hindsight is 2020. Like, it's so much easier to like be a what do they say? A Sunday quarterback or a Monday night quarterback.
Oh, Monday quarterback. Monday morning quarterback.
So much easier to do it. But and like I said, really great television, so much fun. And also somebody else said, Kat commented that they apparently where they were digging was from a tweet. It was Coconut Grove. Is that true?
So this was not, I actually have not been on that island. That's the one island I haven't been on. It's the like Teak Island. But that doesn't surprise me at all. And I was actually wondering about this myself, because not to like throw another wrench into things, but Yanu, where their shelter is where we had Coconut Grove. for the merge beach of season 4. And so they're living on top of it. And I'm like, oh, I don't think that's where you want to be
Oh
sleeping.
no.
Yeah. So I'm really curious about like the life cycle of like how often does the soil turn over? Like
Mhm.
They bring out
yeah.
geologists or something, or like soil
Yeah.
treatment people.
Yeah. Can we get a soil expert on the podcast? Yeah, I'm just really like I genuinely wonder if any survivor has ever dug up like feces from a previous because I will say you find relics of previous seasons on when like the first day when we were trying to build our shelter, we were going around and picking up palm fronds and stuff. We found a pre-woven palm frond. And Claire and I found this together, and we were like, crazy how nature make that. And we wanted to put our shelter, and production was like, you cannot use that. And they like ripped it off. So
Crazy
relics.
Nature made that. That's incredible.
Crazy how nature. Yeah.
That's so good. I never even thought, obviously, if you're using the same beaches, that's bound to happen. That's
cool.
funny.
You can also see, you know how they often make like marks in the trees of the days? You can see that on trees as well. It's very interesting.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
the Ghost Survivor past. That's so sweet.
It's all Ghost Island now.
Ghost Island. We actually are all Ghost Island. That's what we learned at the end of the season. We actually are.
Yeah.
While we're speaking of idols, though, can we also talk about the iconic moment that Liz just is like, yeah, I'm not looking. I'm not going to go look for it.
I had so much respect for that because it's so exhausting and it's so hard and it's boring and
she hasn't been able to eat anything basically this entire time except for the fish that they won. She's allergic to everything. So she's not only she's like on Yanu's level probably of tiredness. She's not as cold as Yanu, but she can't eat like Yanu, like anyone else can. So this poor woman is like, I don't have any more energy for that. I had an idol hunter. Would you be an idol hunter, or would you be like I just want to not do that?
I would definitely try and find an idol if I was out there. I feel like how can you not just look?
Or would you be like Venus and follow somebody who is your enemy and try to find an idol?
I guess I would have to like see how everyone felt about me out there. Because if I'm on people's good side, I'm not going to try and make an enemy like that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, true. It's mildly aggressive.
How did you like that moment with Venus and Hunter? Where she just kind of was like there and being like, I got to keep you. You're my meat shield.
Yeah, it was awkward. I think that Venus is like really blunt, and it's interesting because it feels like a new style of play that you haven't really seen before. And I respect it because she is aware that she's not like on top of things and she just wants to tell it like it is. But I feel like, does that conversation communicate some information to Hunter about how Venus is feeling? Yes. But does that conversation leave Hunter feeling better about Venus? Probably not. Like socially. So I don't know if it's a net positive for Venus to follow Hunter around, but also like she could have followed him better because she wasn't even there when he found the idol.
I was curious to how long she was actually with him because like, it felt like such an awkward moment. I was like, that didn't happen in 20 minutes. That must have been a long time. Yeah. Was that?
He seemed annoyed.
Yeah. He was just like sitting there like, when is she leaving? I will say, just to kind of push back on that a little, Frannie, I am Emily, reincarnate. I will say,
she is risen. Sorry,
it's Easter weekend. So Easter weekend. So I will say, to play devil's advocate, I guess Venus is on the outs, and she's been kind of on the outs since the beginning. And Hunter and Tevin are so close, and Venus was like, I am not like Tevin doesn't like me. Like she was like, I can't work with Tevin. So if you feel so much on the outs with somebody, is it like a fruitless kind of like just like buttering somebody up, even though they know you both know that this person doesn't want to work with you? So is it kind of like, is it almost maybe not better, but like different to be just, you know what, I'm gonna be blunt with you so that you know that I'm telling you the truth. And, you know, I'm going to be real with you. We might not get along, but maybe we can work together. Like not work together, but like, you know, that this is how I'm going to deal with you. I'm not hiding anything. I'm telling you how it actually is.
I like that because she is being very clear. And yeah, that's a good point because she's not saying we're not working together. I'm following you around because I want to vote you out and I want to know if you have an idol. She's saying, I want you as a meat shield. This is what's going to happen at the merge. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. I like that.
Oh, that's a win for Tegwyth.
Yeah. Dang it. No,
yes. So we then go over back to Yanu for a little bit. This was the secret scene that we got, or like the preview of the episode where it's like, what is Yanu going to lose today? Our minds.
Their minds.
That was a wonderful moment. But I did want to talk about Q like testing the water of like, I want to quit. Yeah. And that was a strategy of his. I know, Cara, how did you pick up on that? How did you feel about that whole like moment?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting moment. I really think like they're so focused on them just not playing the shot in the dark. So that's like him testing it. I thought it was interesting, but going forward, if she mentions that to other people, I don't think that's gonna be good for Q, that he was considering quitting or things like that. But interesting move from him to think of that.
Was that his whole thing, to just so that the shot in the dark would not happen? Or did I just didn't really get the whole strategy behind it. Frannie, is that like a strategy where you were like, I'm going to quit?
I think that was his thought process. I think the shot in the dark is so worthless. I feel like it's not worth doing all that just for the shot in the dark. But I guess it's, he's probably thinking more ahead than I would be. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of odd. The only reason, so I don't know if this was Q laying the groundwork or if this was genuinely how he felt. But remember a couple episodes ago when he was like super upset at himself for losing and was like, just like really down on himself, whatever. I feel like if that moment hadn't happened, then Kenzie would have immediately sniffed out that him saying he would maybe quit was a put on. So I feel like that prior instance allowed this one to feel more believable. But again, like you said, Cara, like I don't love what that implies to Kenzie about his view on the game. Like if that gets around, it's an odd move. I'll say it's an odd one.
And I feel like a lot of information is being swapped. Like I feel like a lot of people are being really open. Like, well, I want to talk about also Kenzie, like on the mat after they won, being like, we're such a close 3. We are so tight, and I feel like all of this information is being spread. I don't know that I would really want the information to be spread and the merge is in theory coming up, or the mergatory in theory is coming up, that other people are being like, oh my God, he wants to quit. Okay, fine. Easy vote. Let's get him out. Like, yeah. I don't know that I would, it just seems like something that's almost like trying to be 3D chess, but in a way that's not being built properly and could crumble really easily. And that's like, that like kind of worries me a little bit because I love Q. I think he's such a really fun character. I was so wonderfully surprised by him because I thought he was going to be so competitive that it was going to be like his downfall, but he is just and he's competitive, but he's not like, like a downfall kind of thing. He just like, it's like, we're going to get it the next time. We're going to get it the next time. And he coached Banu and like all that stuff. And so I really want to see him in this show as long as possible because I love the energy he's bringing. And I'm just a little worried for him next episode. I'm not going to lie.
I love Q. I think he's doing great. This is like going back, but it's so interesting, like seeing how different players approach the same situation. Like I just love the way that he like dealt with Banu and was, like patient and listened and whatever. And I understand Kenzie's response where she kind of snaps at him and stuff. I probably would have done the same thing, but I think it's I would have been more snappy than she was for sure. but and I also love Banu, just like, you're tired, whatever. But I think that like Q seems to have a good head for the game and it's also fun. I also loved like his little confessionals after he got those pastries. You could tell that man was on a sugar high. He was talking about his journey and he was like, I think that's a good plan. It was so cute. I loved it.
That's totally what it was. It was totally a sugar high. I was like, this man is loving this plan. I've never seen someone be so happy for a plan before. It was a sugar high. That's so funny. That's so funny. And I will say, well, while we're talking about the journey, let's quickly go into that a little bit. So we go to the journey. We talked about the challenge of the journey. Obviously, Hunter lost his vote. But the thing that we didn't talk about was this like secret 6 alliance, where I think it was Q who was one that proposed it. where he was like, it's us three strong dudes. We got to make sure we protect each other. So why don't we get one person that you're close with and we go to final six and then let's duke it out from there. So Tim wanted to bring Maria. And then that's when Tim said that Maria has an extra vote. Hunter said Tevin, and then Q was going to bring Tiffany. The thing that I really want to talk about with you both is when Q suggested this, I don't know if you noticed, but Hunter said, so are you bringing Tiffany? And she disappeared. I think she's coming back.
She hates the alliance.
Like, I hate the six. No, I'm doing a silent protest.
Okay. Wow, we know where Cara stands. Okay, sorry, keep going.
That's a line in the sand. That's a line in the concrete.
Yeah, damn.
But she's back.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Okay. You could have just said you didn't like the six alliance, Cara. You don't have to. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't want to talk about that.
But I don't know if you noticed this. Hunter said, and Q, you're going to bring Tiffany, right? Because I bet you, I think we saw this when Banu spilled everything. One of the things he said was that Q and Tiff are a tight two. So Q didn't volunteer the Tiff. Hunter went, you're bringing Tiffany, right? As a confirmation that these are the two that are going to be really, really tight, which is another reason why. And I won't take credit for noticing that. Ryan noticed that. My boyfriend noticed that. And I went, oh yeah, another reason why I'm nervous for Q. But in the grand scheme of things, Frannie, how do you feel about like this kind of like secret alliance that we had seen once unsuccessfully in Token Sheens and some other times?
Yeah, so I don't mind it as a way to get conversation going during a journey. I kind of like that Q proposes this and it puts both Hunter and Tim in a position where they have to offer up a number one. Just kind of a question of as to if that's their real number one. For Hunter, I think Tevin actually is correct. For Tim, I wonder if he really feels closer to Maria than he does to like a Ben. But I kind of like that just because it sort of prompts people to say something about where they stand in their tribe. But I think that the alliance itself, so tenuous. Like, what do these six people have in common? In what world are these six people going to have the same goals and the same person they want to vote out? And I feel like it's just, I would love to see it work, but I feel like it's not going to. I feel like these kind of like distal connections coming together type things just don't work well when people come together.
Cara, do you think we'll see this go anywhere?
I don't know. I like the idea of it, but I don't think it'll last. I'd maybe like one vote in when they're all together, and then I think it'll just fall apart.
Yeah.
I think that the Yanu 3, I think they're really gonna have a hard time going forward.
Really? I want to talk about this because well, and the other thing that I just thought of what you just said, like I could see it holding together for one vote. The other thing that I think could actually be real with this alliance is information flow. Like because these three had this connection, I do think there's a solid chance that there will be more conversation amongst them than there would have been had they not gone on the journey. So that's a good thing. But what was I gonna say? Oh, Yanu, I'm so curious to hear what you think because I could see. Oh God, sorry. I'm so excited to talk about Yanu. I can't wait to talk about them. I did the iOS update, and can I show you? Oh, for Ben, rock on. Wait, I wonder if it'll work. Yeah. Do you guys? Y'all have this?
Wow,
that's so cool.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I do it during work movies or work meetings. It's really fun. Anyways, where was I going with this? Oh. I just don't know how things are going to shake out for Yanu because I could see this going one of two ways. One way, people immediately identify them as threatening, are very concerned about them. I think that similarities could be drawn between them and the Tika 3. And this group finished season 44 immediately before going out. They're literally wearing purple. Like it's like it feels like such a connection that they might draw. Or other direction, I could see them being discounted just like the Tika 3 was. And being like, oh, there's only 3 of them. They're kind of a mess, whatever. And then they are able to sneak through and then make it to the end. I think it's really like binary.
I think that's absolutely. I really worry that the fact, like, I honestly don't think I would be as worried if their color wasn't also purple. Like, it's just so on the nose. Totally. And that's kind of why I'm worried about them. And specifically why I'm worried about Q. Because I really think that, like, Banu called Tiffany the mastermind. But how mastermindy can she be if there's such a tight two that like it's Q and Tiff and he's willing to tell other people that and like all this stuff. And if I'm a player out there and I'm like, but like, is she really the mastermind if she's not in the 2 of the 3? That is what we're like learning, you know? And so I'm less worried about Kenzie. I was worried that she was going to get some kind of, I was worried for her come merge, but I'm more worried now for Q because he's being so open with this information, how tight they are. And I don't know. I just was a very interesting discussion that they had that I felt like was the most information swap that we have seen from all 3 sides too. You know, because like Bonnie had a lot of information from one side and not much information from anybody else, but this one gave a little bit from each person, which I thought was super interesting. Or each like tribe, you know. I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what happens because Mergatory's, you know, coming next, and I'm really excited to see like, you know, what happens. Let's see what else did I want? There was something else I was thinking about. Well, let's talk about the vote, right? So I know we said that Maria gets voted. Maria puts 2 votes. Ben doesn't have a vote, but it's Jem and Ben. Did you guys hear that apparently something was cut out from the episode? Apparently Jem had like an expletive. And it was cut from the episode. Why would they do that to us?
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was so funny though, because the headline is, you know, Jem had an FU exit, but then when you read, she didn't say FU, she said, have fun.
But she said it in an FU way.
Yeah. The tone. I wish that had been there.
They should have showed it.
Give us as much animosity as possible. That as a fan viewer, I want the animosity.
Stir the pot.
And after a blind side.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It reinforces that this is a blind side and people care and they're passionate about the game.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, we're gonna be talking about what the hell guys for years to come.
Yeah.
And we're missing the
and now Jem can't make merch now that says have fun.
I was ready to buy it. I was ready to buy it.
Her of that opportunity. What the hell? What the hell, guys?
Jem, we're fighting for you. We're fighting for you and your ability to make merch.
Yeah.
That's what this action podcast is about. So
and
you can actually shut down Shane now.
And did you see Bonnie was selling merch now?
Yes.
Like you mentioned last week. So.
It is. He's selling merch. It's all going, it's all of the proceeds are being donated to, I forget what the foundation is, but like, it's like a foundation that helps like foster youths. But it's a very nice video, but he is making merch. And
is it Million Hearts?
Merch? I hope it is.
What it is. Okay.
It's something like, I think so.
I might. Who knows? I love merch. I am a merch girly. I have a whole drawer of Survivor merch. It's absolutely embarrassing. But
do either of you have any of the my favorite merch so far this season is the Jessica Chomp like mug.
I want the mug. I haven't gotten it.
I'm gonna buy the mug later tonight. I saw Jam put out like a reel of him and he has it and I was like, damn, that's a cute mug. Yeah,
it's so good. She like drew all that herself too.
Yeah, I love it.
It's
also like it's kind of artsy. Like sometimes the Survivor merch feels really niche to Survivor, which it is because it's a lady eating an ant. But like it feels artistic in a way that transcends Survivor.
Absolutely. I did want to talk about quickly. We got a little bit of sassy Jeff this episode.
Yeah.
We got him being like, I thought you guys were going to say Yanu when the lyrics hit, which was, I screamed. I literally screamed. I went,
that was so savage.
It was so wild. And then at the end, when Jem was like, can I just vote for you, Jeff? And then he goes, you can't write my name down. I'm here forever. Which I love. Are we sassy Jeff fans in the house?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Yanu pushed him to the brink and cracked open. So now Sassy, he's like, I'm so ready. He's like, Sassy Jeff is back. Like, I'm done with this. Yeah.
Sassy Jeff is back. Absolutely.
And like, you didn't expect him to say that. Like, you didn't expect him to say, I thought you were going to say Yanu. So like, it was a good moment. It was funny.
It was a great moment, but it was also kind of a dad joke. Like, it's definitely something my dad would say to like tease me for something. And I just love that for Jeff. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
No, he's definitely like, it's been an arc because I feel like this is very different from original Sassy Jeff, because original Sassy Jeff, like he would say things that were actually sassy, like maybe a little mean, but then deadpan. Like he's not giggling, he's not apologizing, he just said it. But then last night he was like, I don't know. Like I thought they might say and it's like you can tell that he's like, it's been too long since he was sassy, so he's gotta like couch it a little bit.
He's waiting for that moment.
Yeah, he's so ready.
Oh my God, it's so good. It is so good. Well, obviously, Jem was voted out with an idol in her pocket. Very sad. Did they flush the idol or was she voted out? We don't know. We didn't get enough information. Before we get into the specific questions of the episode, before our commercial, I do want to just ask, is there anything in the episode that you want to talk about that we didn't really discuss at all? Is there like a moment that was like, I need to make sure we discuss this?
I had one thing actually, like, just going back to the Siga segments that happened before they went to tribal. I was really struck by some of the conversations that were had, like where Tim just kind of like straight up confronts Jem about how he thinks that she hid the Beware advantage, and that whole interaction between them. And then I also thought like the way that Jem approached talking to Ben and Tim before tribal was like interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Felt kind of forced. I mean, not the Tim one, but like before tribal, it felt very forced and almost like, why are you even pretending? Is kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah,
because it did it. There was like a weird vibe. Or when Ben was holding the hammer, and she was holding the machete, and I was like, are we getting into a sword fight right now?
Can you imagine? They're just like, they just drop. Yeah, I just thought it was like, again, it feels like another element of like Jem is like doing stuff and it's fun, but maybe it's not like all the way there. Like, I feel like they've had 11 days of knowing Ben. I feel like you can maybe come to the conclusion that like strongly confronting Ben about who he's going to vote for is not the approach to take with the vibes rock and roll guy. Like, I just feel like her approach was maybe the right approach for a different player, but with Ben, like I knew as soon as she started saying it that wasn't going to work with him, and clearly it didn't. He went and he was then talking to Charlie and Tim and Maria about how she was playing too hard and she needed to go home. So I'm just curious, like in reality, obviously we saw the scenes that we saw. Curious to what degree she kind of put her own name on the chopping block, or like sunk her own game by doing too much too fast versus just like happenstance.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I personally think that she was playing a little bit too hard, but I always will say, as a viewer, obviously as a player, you want to go as far as you possibly can, and you want to win the challenges and do all you can do, or like, whatever, go far. But as a viewer, I really like when I see people play really, really hard, even if it ends up getting them voted out. Because I would rather see 18 really hard players who are kind of chaotic and just like all over the place versus 18 people who just kind of let it happen to them. Yeah. And you obviously need a good combination of both people in order to have a very good Survivor season. Like you can't have, it's not all or like nothing, you know what I mean? So while again, I'm sad Jem is gone, I loved the content she gave us, and she is such a memorable merge boot, or not a merge boot, like such a memorable pre-merge boot. And I loved the energy that she brought. And I think that we need a lot more. I like that in Survivor. We don't need more of it, but like bring that kind of energy, do that stuff. Sometimes it doesn't hit and you get voted out, but we loved it. I loved it.
Try things. Somebody has to try. Exactly. It could have been like everything she did could have been like the best move ever, and we could have been applauding her right now. And exactly. Exactly. And I do think Tim and her talking at the beginning was very interesting, because Tim was very blunt, and I don't know if he also was like, and you're the head of the Women's Alliance, right?
Yeah.
It was so blunt. It was
he really clocked her.
He really clocked the shit out of her.
It was crazy. Literally, it was just like, we had also not heard from Tim like at all.
And then he comes on. Now what do we know about Tim? he can't poop and he has excellent reads.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, that's a full picture of a person. I love it.
Yeah,
for him.
Yeah, I played Survivor. I pooped and I had horrible reads, so it's like I wish I could beat him. You know, it's like
is the strategy in Survivor to not poop? Is that what we're learning? To have good reads? That must be what it is.
Yeah,
that
it's a trade-off.
Yeah. Cara, was there anything in the episode that you wanted to talk about that we didn't discuss?
Yeah. So one thing I like heard things about. So Hunter lost his vote finding the beware advantage and then lost it again on the journey. So what happens?
That's so interesting.
Yeah, someone explained this to me and I immediately forgot what they were telling me because I was like, this is a lot.
He'll get it back and then lose, then it's still lost.
Please, somebody in the comments, if you know this, please let me know.
That's
my understanding. Frannie, do you know what's happened? Do you know what it is?
No, I don't know what it is. I actually did not think about this because here's the situation where it would be confusing. So if Hunter manages to find the idol before the mergatory vote, then I think he does not have a vote. And then after that, he's fine. If he does not find the mergatory or the idol before the first mergatory vote, say he finds it the day after that and he makes it through that vote, then it's confusing because then it's like, did that mergatory vote where he couldn't cast a vote, does that count for him not having the idol or does that count for him losing it at the journey? So then does he have to have another lost vote to make up for that? Yeah, I think that's the situation where it'd be confusing if he doesn't.
My brain kind of hurts. I feel like what makes sense is he loses his vote because of the thing until he finds it. And then he loses his vote one more time.
Oh, okay.
But also that seems like a lot. Like, what if he doesn't find it right away? So I don't know. There's got to be, somebody has got to know this. So please, someone must know.
Someone
out there must understand this because it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't compute.
If Nami doesn't lose and go to a tribal before like merge or whatever, and they go to a different beach, then what happens?
I do think they rehide it, right?
Oh.
Well, also, they are merging at Nami Beach, I noticed.
Oh.
So does not apply.
That works out for him.
That works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, like I wonder, because Siga, it was found, Yanu was found. So yeah, this is the only convenient that maybe that's why they're merging all at Nami Beach. They're like, God, Nami was too slow to find their thing. I guess everybody has to come here.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's got to be an answer out there in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I hope they explain it to us well, because I feel like if we don't know and we think and talk about Survivor all the time, that means the people who don't watch Survivor as much also will not know. So I really hope that they spell it out to us in like plain words and just like let us know what's what. They usually do that. I would say they don't let us like flounder too long, and maybe they even explained it in the episode and I just went, you know what I mean?
I don't think I feel like they were vague about it. I feel like it'll come into play next episode.
Hold on. Somebody said Frank said Hunter mentioned there is a clause for him to get the idol without losing and going to tribal. So there's something in there that he doesn't have to find it in order to, or he doesn't have to lose in order to get the clue. So there's at least that. But
how does that work?
Well, I mean, the idols were you have to lose. Once you lose, the clue gets back there. So if he never loses, then does he ever get a clue? But there's a clause that if your tribe never goes to tribal council, then at the I think you're given a clue or you're given information to find the clue or something. So
I wonder. Something that I could see production doing here is after all the tribes receive tree mail that they will be merging, Hunter could find a note in his bag that is essentially the same note that you like get when your tribe loses, like that Tiffany got, where that has his little secret instructions. Like I could see that being the mechanic that they use.
I totally get to that. Absolutely. Before we go to commercial, I just want to one time, I know we already talked about this, but I just want to talk about the Debbie moment again. I just want to remember about the Debbie moment. I know we covered it, but I did not have on my Survivor 46 bingo card that Debbie was going to be in this season. And I'm obsessed with it. And I think that she needs to come back. That's what I understand from that.
Yeah. I love Debbie as a
Debbie.
player on screen.
I love
so funny.
I don't know that I would necessarily want to play with her, but I don't really think that'll ever happen. So I'll put that on other people. They can play with her and I get to watch. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember the time she got mad and did like push-ups in front of everyone? like where does casting find these people? Like it's incredible. It's so good.
So good. She's incredible. I forgot about that moment. Oh my God, it's so good.
That's like one of my favorite Survivor moments ever. Jenny. And then that leads right into the like, and I'm pissed confessional, which is an all-timer.
It's an all-time confessional. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, while we go to our commercial, I want you to just think of Debbie the entire time. That's with you all. But we'll be right back to talk about all of the questions you guys have and do some awards. So we'll be right back.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more superfans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a superfan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
Absolutely brutal roast from Chris. It's my favorite part of the podcast are the commercial breaks. Chris. Really brutal.
Get out.
Brutal roast by Chris. So it is time for social hour here at Survivor Social, where we're going to talk about all of the questions we got ahead of time, as well as a couple that we got during the show. Let me start off with this this question we got from a viewer named Ryan. Ryan asked, "Do you think Tim's pooped yet?" We do not need to answer this. That was by Ryan during the commercial. Walks up to me, goes he had a salami in his hand, and he goes, "My question is, do you think Tim's pooped yet?" And then he walks away. Yeah. No other information or anything else. Like,
I mean, I hope that today, March 28th, 2024, I really hope so.
I really hope so. We have this question that we got comments from Kat. Kat asked, how do you feel we talked about this a little bit, but how do you feel about Sassy Jeff? I know I saw from a reel from a certain someone, but I love to hear y'all's takes. So we talked about this a little bit, but why don't I explain this question? Do you have a favorite Sassy Jeff moment? Maybe not from this season, but just in general.
Ooh. Oh God. Mine is, I can't even remember her name, but the Cookies girl. Cookies. Remember her? Malcolm. It's
Cookies?
And Jeff was like, Cookies. Angie.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. On we were just talking about the season.
Philippines.
The one. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I really love, is this also on Philippines or is this on Cook Islands where, Penner is frustrated and he goes, "My ass," or whatever. And then he goes, "Penner getting frustrated by me," which I say in my day-to-day life.
That's so funny.
When my cat gets mad at me and I go, "And Penner getting frustrated by me." Like, is that sassy or is it just like poignant? Is it,
That's so good. It's kind of meta. It's kind of meta, actually.
So meta. Cara, do you have a favorite Sassy Jeff moment or is it all of them?
I mean, every time he's sassy, it's great, but I also just like can't think of like a single moment now. Like it just
that's because they're all
my mind is just blank. So.
I also will say I will sometimes when it's like late at night and I just need to mindlessly whatever, I'll go on a Peridium video of like Sassy Jeff part 32 or something, and I'll just like watch this video that I've seen 1,000 times. And I did that with the video series on YouTube that's like awkward Survivor moments or like most awkward Survivor moments. I watched those the other day. Fire. They're so funny. Yeah. So good.
You know what I'll be doing after this?
Yeah. Block off your schedule for the night.
I'm booked for the weekend.
Sorry.
So we've got this question from John Gus. I know his name, but I just can't think of it right now. He asked, do we think that we would see a 2 tribes versus 1 tribe scenario, and which tribes team up? I think he's talking about the merge. Like, do we think that like teams or tribes are going to team up at the merge?
I feel that everyone will be teaming up on Nami. And I also feel that Nami will splinter quickly. Yeah, because I just think even though they like lost Randon and they have 5 people, Siga has 5 people, they don't technically have a numbers advantage. Just that perception that they literally got first in like every single challenge, I think is so powerful, and people will want to get them out really quickly.
Yeah, I think so. Cara, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so too. I also feel like I have a feeling that Tiffany and Q are gonna go towards Nami and like try and work with them, and I feel like Kenzie would work with Siga. I feel like they might split.
That's interesting.
Who do you think? Who on Nami do you think that Q and Tiff would like connect with or vibe with?
Hunter and Tevin.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
Maybe Venus. Maybe like Tiffany and Venus.
I could see that too.
I had in a perfect world, what I had was it wasn't like a 2 tribe versus 1 tribe. I think that Mariah, now that she feels alone, knows that Yanu is only 3 people. And I think that Mariah might go over to them and like want to work with them a little bit. And then I also think that Venus has felt alone this entire time. And so I think that like we might see the people who are like on the outskirts go into Yanu to work together to find this kind of like the outskirt majority of
that would be
people
good.
who, like want to work together, who never felt like close into their tribe, who want to jump ship and then go towards other people. I don't know if there's like longevity in that. It kind of feels like a voting block rather than like an alliance, but I do think that like there's a possibility of some kind of like people jumping ship and it not being like a tribe, because the splinters in Orange Tribe, Nami are so there. They're so there. They are ready to like burst. And so I really don't think it's going to be 2 tribes together with 1. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see next week, obviously. But, and also it's mergatory. It's not a real merge. So like there'll probably be 2 teams. They'll probably be split up. And you know, it won't even really,
that's what I was going to say. It is like going to be, and that's the thing that's like that. Honestly, that's one of the reasons that I don't like love mergatory is it makes it so hard to like both predict and like understand the voting mechanics, because like it is just it's 100% dependent on who's in which group, 100% dependent. And so yeah, I don't know. It'd be more fun for us if we could actually predict better.
Yeah.
They need to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not liking the mergatory. I don't want it to happen. I don't like it.
Again. Well, and okay, I saw Carson on Twitter pointed out that 2 more people have to go pre-jury, which means we're probably going to have a mergatory boot and then like a Dwight / who was the 45 person who this happened to? J Maya situation.
Oh, also J Maya. It was also
I don't like it.
It was pre-jury but post-merge.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
I don't like it at all. It honestly, and it has, if I'm being honest, it has nothing to do with the actual strategy of the game. I just feel bad. Jury, like the pre-merge can go a little bit longer. Do a swap. You know?
Swap and merge later, and then everyone on the merge can just go to jury.
Yeah.
Brando, I'm sorry, I'm anti-swap. That's I don't ever want to swap. No swaps for Brando. We have another question from Moles3. Who do you guys think will find the Siga idol, or is there a Siga idol going to be replanted? Do we think? Because in your conspiracy theory, Frannie, do people know that she had it and that people are going to be like a mad hunt for it?
Yeah, I think so. My conspiracy theory, I do think that people. Well, actually, okay. I'm amending my conspiracy theory, because if my theory was true, then they probably would not have voted unanimously for Gem. So maybe I will rescind that. But I think that there will not be a Siga idol found before they merge, because literally, logistically, they're going to get back late that night, and they will receive tree mail the next morning that they are merging, and they will have 10 minutes to pack up their things. So like genuinely, I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth it for production to hide another idol. And I don't know that people will have time to find it. But I do think that there may be a new merge idol planted at Nami. I do think that will happen.
Are merge idols usually Beware advantages, Beware, or are they just usually idols?
I think they're usually regular. I think they're just regular.
Okay.
And Gems will be, Gems just got out of the game. So I think, I think Idol will be reintroduced, and I think it'll be at the new merge beach.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it makes sense. We have a question from Chris. Chris says, how do we feel about Tim barely getting an edit, but also like staying in the game? Because I had a theory that Tim was going this episode because we just haven't heard from Tim like at all, which is not Tim's fault. It's the edit's fault. But how does that, are you guys Edgic people? Do you watch that and like look into that, or no? Or are you not following like the Edgic of it all?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of also had a feeling that maybe he was going, and especially in the beginning when he was talking about like he can't go to the bathroom and everything, I was like, is he going to get like medevaced for not being able to go to the bathroom or something?
That's how we go, Campo.
So I don't know. Maybe he just isn't as good of TV. That's why they're not showing him as much.
I don't know. I think he's made
hilarious, though.
funny. What was that conversation with that idol? Just like when they were in the vicinity, there were people in the vicinity. It wasn't like he couldn't talk to them.
Yeah, I honestly think that, my prediction, I think Tim's really funny. And I think that he describes what is happening on the tribe in a funny way. But I genuinely think that Siga was so like, God, when they were salsa dancing, I loved it. But I was like, damn, that's a tribe that needs to go to tribal. Okay, they have too much time on their hands. So I think that like once they're at the merge and there's more people, more things happening, I feel like we could see Tim visibility spike. I try not to read into Edgic. Because, once you've played, you're like, I don't know if having played, I now read more into Edgic or less, because you realize how much is not shown and therefore the importance of what is chosen to be shown. But I didn't think it was Tim's time to go just because we haven't seen enough of him. Like, actually, it was funny. When Tim is talking about not pooping, he says like, but I got to stick it out. Like, I got to stay here for my family. And then there's kind of a beat. And I thought they were going to go into like pictures of Tim's family and stuff. And if that had happened, then I would have been like, Tim's going home. But because they didn't do that, I was like, that was weird. And I was sort of like, we haven't seen him enough for him to go yet.
They're setting something up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of that, we've got this question from Asher Keem. Who will be the next boot? Like, do you have any? Because there's so much at Mergatory. There's so much up in the air. Who is actually available to be voted out? It's not going to be everybody. It's only going to be probably 6 people, 7 people, 6 people maybe. My conspiracy theory is a Q, but I have absolutely no base. I mean, my only basis is like, I think. I will say, I saw this in the comments. I forget who did it. They were like, Charlie talking about Hunter, and we don't have a Hunter and a Q. We have to be scrappy. We have to be whatever. That's not good for Hunter or Q. Number one. We talked about at a tribal council that you are not at. Bad sign, because you're making too much of a splash. And I'm this whole six thing makes me nervous. So my conspiracy theory is that it's Q. But who knows who's even going to go to tribal council? Who's going to be voted?
My conspiracy theory, which first of all, also, that was another thing I forgot that I wanted to mention. I loved that Charlie said that, because I feel like there were a couple of small things he said during the episode that indicated to me that consciously or subconsciously, he is really trying to enforce this idea that this Siga tribe, like, we're scrappy, we have a lot of teamwork, we work together. And I feel like he's planting the seeds to allow them to remain a team after this fracture of going to tribal council and voting somebody out. And also, as a side note, everybody was talking about how Ben is like so likable and so good socially. I feel like Charlie is too. Like, he's so like, Charlie's a charmer as well. But maybe like slightly more subtle is maybe better. I don't know.
He's a charmer who's pushing the target of the charmer onto somebody else.
Yes, it's like it's 40 chess charming. So I love that. But my conspiracy theory is I could see, and maybe I'm reading into the like next time on too. It feels like people at Nami have been getting frustrated with Soda. I could see Nami clearly has cracks. Everyone else wants to capitalize on those. And there's already people who are on Nami who want Soda gone. I could see everyone else finding out about that and being like, great, let's get her out. You know what I mean? So I sort of could see a world where she goes home.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I think maybe Soda too.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I like it. I like that we have some different ideas. Really quick side note, we've got
Bruce!
Bruce.
Who's loving Charlie. We love that.
Oh my God. Bruce
icon.
in the chat. I love Bruce.
I love it. Bruce was in the chat last. This is kind of a side note. Sorry. Bruce was in the chat. I mean, someone who knows Bruce was in the chat last season when we had Gandia on this, and Gandia was tearing into Bruce. I mean, she was like not, like she was tearing to Bruce and tearing to somebody else. Can't remember who it was, and Bruce was like still commenting, and I was like, Bruce is so real for that. I mean,
yeah,
Bruce knows was so real.
Yeah,
it was ruthless but wild to be on the sidelines of. It was wild.
Yeah, I think Bruce secretly loves like when that kind of stuff happens. Bruce loves to give like a sassy reply to the haters. So yeah, no haters here though, Bruce. I love you.
Haters.
No haters.
We love Bruce and Frannie around here.
Oh.
Absolutely. All right, we've got a next question that's kind of like I don't know, almost like a meta question. Because everyone on Twitter was talking about this. Buff Collector asked, did you do Sporkle quizzes, sorting seasons in chronological order before you played? To you, Frannie.
So have I done the Sporkle quiz? For sure. But not before I played. like I think that, I mean, now people will start doing it, but like in what world would that ever be useful outside of this one thing? Actually, in fact, I will say, on my tribe when I played, like people made comments to me that like I knew too much about Survivor. I remembered Survivor too much. So like it was an issue that I had too much Survivor knowledge. So I would say like do a quick pass of the Sporkle before you play, but like don't yap about it on the island.
We've got another question. Well, actually, let me ask Cara. Have you done the Sporkle? Because I haven't done them before we get to the next question.
Haven't. No.
I didn't know that it was a different thing. The only Sporkle quiz I've ever done was naming all of the Doctor Who episodes, which would not I can't do it anymore. It was a high school thing, but I didn't even know that there's Sporkle Survivor stuff, which I'm gonna go do. I've got a pack tonight, guys. I'm gonna be watching YouTube videos. Those awkward moments.
Whizzes.
Fully booked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't. Adam Coops asked, which of the Survivor 46 contestants do you see yourself in the most?
Ooh.
I saw this question ahead of time, so I will answer it. I see myself in, honestly, if I'm being honest, I kind of see myself a little bit in Tevin. And like a Tevin kind of Charlie mix, weirdly. But also, I don't think I'm like them at all. So it's like,
but
I don't know.
Spiritually, vibes.
Yeah. It's kind of like, kind of like vibes. I also see myself, I think I get along with Kenzie really well. I met Kenzie prior to the season. I didn't know she was on the season. So I was shocked when the cast was announced. And we get along so well. So probably also Kenzie. So I would a social group. I'm a social person. So it's like a social group of people. So probably those three.
I can see you in all, I can see bits and pieces in all of those. Yeah. I feel like for me, I think that Mariah, like, is the next in line of my character type, which is the like nerdy woman. And I love Mo. So I see myself in some ways in her, but I also, I don't know. Maybe Charlie's just great and we all want to be like Charlie.
I mean,
I want to be yeah. I feel like I sort of see myself in Charlie too. Yeah. Cha-Cha Charlie. Like I think that Charlie's like he's social. He also, I think, wants to be kind of like a mediator and like a diplomat and like wants to be talking with everybody and not like talk shit. And I think that's kind of my MO as well. Yeah, those two perhaps.
Cara,
Yeah.
do you anybody?
I was also gonna say Charlie. I feel like I'd probably get along with him. So I feel like
We're
probably
all
him.
Charlie.
We are.
And then
We are Charlie's Angels. We're Charlie's Angels. Okay, get out of here. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yes.
I mean,
And yeah,
absolutely.
no, he's great. But I also think I'd be able to get along with Ben too. I mean, I don't think I'm like him, but I think if I was there with the two of them, I think we would get along.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ben's a really good one too. We also have another person in the chat who's also for services. If anybody needs any coaching, Brandon Donlin is doing trivia coaching program for future Survivor players. Oh, a very good deal. You heard it here first on Survivor Now podcast. Survivor Social, $450 per hour. And you know what? He's offering that to Survivor Now listeners. Exclusive.
Bargain.
Yeah. When Tevin's like journey challenge was announced and they're like, it's sorting the, I think it was really like a special moment because I think several thousand people across the entire world thought to themselves, how's Brandon Donlin doing right now? Like, is he okay? Like thousands of people thought of this man in the exact same moment. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should have flashed back to him, honestly.
They should have. Yeah.
That would have been so good. Can he do it like Brandon did it? The answer is no. The answer is no.
Yeah. I'd actually be curious to know how fast Brandon Donlin could have done that. I think it would have been like wicked, like he could have done it. Jelinski, the hourglass, he could have learned how to salsa dance in all that time. Like he would have days.
The hourglass. I am using that. I'm going to use that.
It's a verb.
It is a verb. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have another question from Caroline Cleveland. Who would you have voted? I'm assuming what Caroline means is who would we have voted in that? Who would you have voted to go home in this last episode?
I would have been on the gem train as well, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was on the gem train to Brandon Donlin goes, a sentence no one has ever said. I think referring to thousands of people thinking of Brandon Donlin. How's Brandon Donlin doing?
How is Brandon Donlin doing? We should ask ourselves every day.
Yeah, every single day. Wake up. How's Brandon Donlin doing?
I do.
I also probably would have been on the gem train. I will say though, I'm a sucker for an all women's alliance. I want to see it successful one day. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But I do think if I were ever on Survivor, my downfall would be me trying to stick to an all women's alliance.
Can I pose something? Here? I wonder if the act of naming an all women's alliance as an all women's alliance dooms it. I wonder if you were just, you're on Survivor first couple days, you're getting to know each other, you're cooking, then, you develop relationships with other women. You're like, man, I love you guys. Like, let's work together, and don't say like we're doing an all girls thing. Wonder if it's more successful, because I think that I sort of had this on my season where I, wanted to work with women. I thought I didn't want Claire to go home when she did. It sucked. But I had moments where I was like, am I working with suboptimal people just because I want to work with the women? I think that it puts that kernel in people's minds. So next time, next Survivor players, maybe don't call it that.
I think that's a really great read on that. 10 out of 10. Oh my gosh. What is happening in the chat right now?
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Kelly. Exactly. She did it. She followed my advice. Yeah.
Incredible.
The chat is popping tonight. Let's go.
The chat is popping. Incredible. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have another question, or it's kind of like did we notice something? Diary of the something. Did you notice? I don't know what that is. Did you notice they previewed the immunity challenge using Yanu's lane? Is this intentional? I did notice this because a lot of people thought the merge was happening, or there was going to be a swap happening. Like there was like a conspiracy theory that a swap was going to happen. The last episode, and
based on what? Just based on numbers?
Based on just what? Kind of like, I think vibes, honestly. There was a conspiracy.
Okay.
I don't think that there was, I think it was just like, it's going to happen. We're going to do a swap. And then the photos dropped, and it was a photo of Yanu's like Tiffany on Yanu's thing, and it was like of Yanu's lane doing the challenge. And so I do kind of think it was intentional doing that. And when I saw that, I went, oh, Yanu's winning. That's what I thought in my head.
You want to know another element to this conspiracy?
Mm-hmm.
When Jeff makes his dad joke, he's like, you know, and I don't remember his lead up, but whatever prompts people to say the losers.
Mm-hmm.
Who said the losers? Siga.
Oh yeah.
They show all of Siga and they go the losers.
Oh,
that's some good editing.
See, should we name this podcast Conspiracy Theories 101 or something? Because I am loving them. Yeah. I'm loving them. We are near a little tin hat and just talking about all of our Survivor conspiracy theories.
It's great. They're real. All of them.
They're definitely real. Cara, do you think that was intentional? Like showing Yanu's lane and like making us notice it more or something?
Yeah, I think everything they do is intentional. I think there's a reason.
I think
maybe not everything, but most things.
I think that's a really good. I think everything they do on Survivor is intentional in some way, shape, or form. I think you're 100% right. Yeah. Okay, another question from the same person. Can Hunter be the next Aussie? Those are some big shoes to fill. Yeah. I feel we've seen him climb a tree. We've seen him climb a tree. He's looking for the idol. I mean, he physicsed his way through a lot of those challenges. Mm-hmm. Maybe. We just have to see how he does in individual immunity.
Yeah. I think, now, correct me if I'm wrong, this might be a slight to Ozzy. I feel like Hunter's maybe more engaged strategically than Ozzy ever was, right? You know?
But has Hunter purposely gotten himself voted out to go to Redemption Island? No. So
fair point.
Hunter needs
to... who's strategic now, Hunter? Who's
strategic? No, I think you're totally right. I think Hunter has a little bit more of a well-rounded game, and it's not just super physical. Personally, but I think he's very physical like Ozzy, but we just need to see how he does in these individual immunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it doesn't always translate. I mean, the group challenges are a very different ballgame than the individual immunities. They really test different skills. And I don't feel like I did anything wonderful in any of the group immunity challenges, but then I got to the individual. I was like, this is really fun. And so I think it doesn't always equate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think, Cara, do you think Hunter's a new Aussie?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about it.
I feel like we don't need a new Aussie. We need Aussie, and then we need a Hunter. You know what I mean? Like we've already got that. We've already got that archetype. We've got the Aussie, and that is what we need. We need somebody else to just bring a different aspect to the game. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so it's the same person that asked this question. Another question. This person has so many questions, and I love it. Who's your winner pick? Which is a great question. Do you have a winner pick? Do you do winner picks, Frannie?
So I typically don't do winner picks, and I don't know why. I just like to watch it play out. But my winner pick from episode 1 has been Charlie, and I still feel really good about that. So
that's great. Cara, have you changed your winner pick since Jelinski got out?
Yeah. So
yours was Jelinski? Oh no! I'm so thoughts and prayers, girl. I'm so sorry.
No. So last episode, I said Ben is my new winner pick. And then when we went into this episode and he was about to go, I was like, oh my God, I jinxed him. I was so nervous.
No. You went. I totally forgot that you switched it to Ben. And you almost didn't want to do it because you're like, I don't want to jinx him.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
My heart was racing when the episode was on. It seems like he might have been the boot. I was like, oh no. But
he's a good one too. He's a good one.
Sticking with him.
He's a good one. I love Ben brings me Ben has so much joy that he brings to this TV screen. Like the fact that when they lost, one of the first things he said was, yes, it sucks for us, but can we talk about how Yanu gets to enjoy that?
No.
Can you imagine being like that? I can't. I'm way too selfish. I'll be like, woe is me. I am so sad. Boo-hoo. Yeah.
And Yanu was celebrating when Randon got medevaced. And
they're selfish.
Yeah. I can't. Ben was just so it was such a beautiful moment. Yeah. Okay, we have this question. This is only for Frannie, unless Cara, you are in a relationship with somebody named Matt. Gianna asks, how is your relationship with Matt, Frannie?
Well, thank you for the question. I maybe pre-gamed this when Matt, did his little cameo earlier. But it's great. We're actually, if anybody doesn't know, we live together, in San Francisco. So very exciting. We brought our relationship to the next level. Yeah, we're doing awesome. Love that, man.
That is like that.
Great.
With The Bachelor, obviously The Bachelor just ended. I don't really watch The Bachelor, but everyone like loves this new couple, and I'm like, there are no Frannie and Matt, but it's okay. It's just fine. It's different. I'm not comparison is a thief of joy. You're right, but is Ben here? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we have one last question that was sent in by a couple of different people, and it has to do about your season, Frannie. So the question, so it's not the exact question because it was sent in by a couple people. They wanted to know why you voted for Jam instead of Carolyn. Do you have thoughts? Do you want to talk about it? Do you not want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, I'll talk about it. That's a good question. Yeah, it was funny because it's interesting, the structure of like going on Survivor and doing exit press and stuff. Like the jurors, you never really get another opportunity to explain to the audience, like in an exit interview, why you did some of the things that you did. So thank you for the question. So I'll say to that, I love Carolyn. I think she had a wonderful journey on the show. She really impacted me a ton personally. I actually went into Final Tribal wanting to vote for Carolyn, but Jam just had like a stellar Final Tribal. I really, really felt like he laid out exactly what he did in a way that was really, really compelling. And Carolyn had like a good Final Tribal, but I think she was struggling a little bit more to articulate some of the moves that she made. And, watching the show back, you get to see those moves in 4K and I'm like, damn, she's good. But just in that moment, like sitting in that seat, I got a lot more game information from Jam that I was really excited about than I was getting from Carolyn. So yeah, I think Jam also played an incredible game and I'm proud to have voted for him. I think he was great. But incredible. Carolyn's a wonderful player too. So I'm glad we got to see it, the world.
So quick follow-up question. Did you feel like you went into Final Tribal Council actually like open to hearing what people like wanted to say and that or did you have like, I kind of know what I have in my mind of what happened and this is just kind of emphasizing what I feel like happened?
Yeah, it's funny because we all, everyone says like, I wanted to try. Everyone's like, I show up, I'm a juror. I show up open-minded. And I think that's true to a degree, but I also think that everybody shows up with who they want to vote for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, you can see like in the questions that I ask, like I really wanted to set up Carolyn to shine and to like, tell her game in a really compelling way. Yeah, I don't know. I just like really wanted it to happen. And I was open. Like I was really excited to hear what both Heidi and Jam had to say. And I'm glad that I was open because I feel that I made the right decision for myself. But I think all of us are maybe a little less open than we say. You know what I mean? I don't know. What form of it? Literally like on Ponderosa, frickin' A. We would spend hours talking about the game, who we thought was doing well, who we thought was controlling things. And so you spend so much time forming an opinion that it's really hard to show up to Final Tribal as a juror without some tilt in terms of who you think is going to win. Near impossible, I'd say.
I would love to know, because correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure back in like very old school Survivor, they were sequestered. Jurors, weren't like old school survivors like sequestered from each other? So that like the jury didn't talk to each other, or did I totally get that wrong? Because I would be interested to see how juries would act when they're completely sequestered versus when they're together and able to compare notes and able to like talk about what happened to them, what moves they made, what moves their allies made, that kind of a thing. Because when you get a picture of more people and you don't just have your own perspective, it does change a little bit. When you learn someone else's side of the story, it changes a little bit what your perspective is. So I would love to know it, like talk to somebody. Did that happen? Were they sequestered or did I make that up?
I don't know. I feel like I've maybe heard that, but I'm not sure. But I will say, I do think that would change things a lot. I think that would, because not only is there the element of having time at Ponderosa to discuss, say what you think, but I also think like the order in which people come to Ponderosa really impacts the group sentiment about who's doing well, who's not. Like the order that you receive that information impacts how you understand it. And yeah. At our Ponderosa, there's a lot of kind of group opinions happening and groupthink happening. So I think it would be really different if we were all sequestered.
Yeah. I think about, well, I mean, not to go on to this too much, but I think about how, like, one of my favorite seasons of all time is David versus Goliath. And when you go to Final Tribal Council, you see the jury talking and you see the people who were voted out really early, they didn't vote for Mike. And then the people who played with Mike longer
voted for him.
And people who played with Mike longer were like, this man changed Survivor. Like, this man is like one of the best to ever play, kind of thing. And so I think even though groupthink is very real and you could like talk and compare, you still have your own journey on the show and your own perspective, and you can only convince people of so much. You know what I mean? And so like, I think that's a really good example of a season where it's like, you see it kind of how long you're out on the island, who you're with and who you're playing with. I think jury votes are incredibly interesting. I don't like the finale as an episode. Usually the finale is one of my least favorite episodes of the season.
Totally.
Fun, and it's just, I don't know, but I love the psychology of like the jury and what they'll do in a bitter jury versus a not bitter jury and blah, blah, blah. It's just so interesting.
Something that I never thought about until I was there. I remember I think you'd be fine with me sharing this. The night before Final Tribal, Matt and I were up late talking because that's like what we did. And he was kind of like vulnerable with me about how he really didn't know what he was going to do at Final Tribal because he was the first juror, and he's like, I feel like I've been out of this game for so long. Like, I barely know these people. I got to meet them for like 2-3 days, some of them, before he got voted out. So I think it's a really, really different experience for jurors depending on how long you were in it. And then somebody like Carson, gets voted out, next day has to make a decision. His headspace is completely different from, Matt, who's been there for 2 weeks having milkshakes. So the psychology of it is like really, really interesting. Also, Brandon Donlin in the chat giving us
this was a free tidbit. This is not a part of the $450 class. But I stand corrected. Thank you. It was discussed, but it didn't happen. Okay. It would be interesting.
Okay.
It would also be cool for the jury. That sounds
logistically really difficult and sucks. I actually think that like in terms of like mental health for the players, really bad.
Really bad. So bad. So bad. Okay, so those are all the questions. Thank you so much for anyone who sent them in. If you commented them, we love, like, this is my favorite part of the episode because it just is like such a fun open forum. We are now going to Cara's sweet thing of the episode. Frannie is also going to play along with this. So Cara, what is your sweet thing for episode 5?
Okay, my sweet thing this episode, it's kind of a random one, but it was when Ben was mentioning Motley Crue right in the beginning of the episode because I am a Motley Crue fan. I love Motley Crue. So I just love that he mentioned Motley Crue, The Dirt. I said Motley Crue so many times, but I really I enjoyed that moment. So that was my sweet thing of the week.
I love that. That is such a good sweet thing. Frannie, do you have a sweet thing?
I do. And it's funny because mine's also about Ben. And yeah, Cara was describing to me before we started, like what the sweet thing was. And I was like, immediately I know what it is. It's Ben's eyes. They're so pretty. I love
pretty. They are.
Oh my God. And then he has that shirt, that like green t-shirt that matches perfectly. I'm like entranced at the TV. So that's my sweet thing is Ben's green eyes.
I love it. Oh my God. Yeah. I love that they both have to do with Ben and you didn't even like discuss this ahead of time.
Yeah.
We love
that. Ben and Charlie Stan podcast.
Ben and Charlie only.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. Okay, so now it is a time for award season. We're giving out the Social Butterfly Award for this episode. If you are new to the podcast, the Social Butterfly is the person who we think that this episode, not the entire season, just this episode, showed the best social game moving forward. And this could be on any tribe. I don't know if you all have it, but I do have mine. So I can start to give you some time to think about it if you want. I think it's Charlie. It now almost sounds like a bit, but I think that Charlie and Maria's relationship is so important. And I do think that obviously Maria has to weigh the pros and cons, but I do think that Charlie was able to like essentially convince her and prove to her, lawyer her, why this is a good move for both of them to keep Ben. And as Ben is so social, I mean, Cha-Cha Charlie, like he's doing all this stuff. And I just really think that he is under the radar social, which is very rare, I think, in Survivor. So I think Charlie, to me, is going to get it for this episode for me. Frannie, do you want to go next? Carrie, you want to go next? Who wants to go?
I'm ready. Or Frannie wants to go?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. Mine is Tim. I feel like this is a big episode for Tim.
Big episode.
It was. He went on the journey. He made the possible 6-person alliance. He clocked Jem, replanting the Beware Advantage and the all-girl alliance. And he teamed up with Maria and Charlie, and they all voted together. And so I think this was a good episode. Good social day for him.
I like that one. It's kind of, I didn't even think about Tim, but I think that's a really good read on Tim too. Frannie,
he made an alliance with the Tiki Man.
He made
alliance
of the episode, honestly.
Really under-discussed alliance between Tim and Tiki. That's going far. That's a final 2. Mine was also Charlie. Independently, that was what I was going to say before you said it. I feel like Charlie actually. I'll asterisk. I'll say that the Social Butterfly Award goes to Ben because he's been, said to be so social. I think Charlie is a social dragonfly because he's speedier. He's more of like a sniper. He's undercover, but in reality, he's faster. He's sharper. He's getting it done. Not that I don't love Ben. I love them both, but social dragonfly.
That's incredible. That's good. So good. The social dragonfly. That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Never did I think that dragons would be discussed so much on this podcast. We got the mermaid dragon. Incredible. 10 out of 10. Well, I just want to say thank you, Frannie, so much for coming on to the show. It's so much fun to talk Survivor, especially with somebody who's been on the show. And you were such a joy to, talk to. Where can the folks who are listening find you? Are you still, how is the Dungeons and Dragons pod going?
For that, you're coming on, Tegwyth. You're going to be a guest, okay? We're making you make a character. No, it's going great. It's called Surviving the Dice is the name of the podcast. It is, a Dungeons and Dragons like live play table podcast where we have guests who are on Survivor. We actually have some like really fire guests coming up that I'm really excited about. So if you want to keep up with that, you can follow at Surviving the Dice Pod on Instagram. But if you just want to follow me, it's at Hail the Veil. HailTheveil. People ask about that a lot. Veil's my middle name. That's why that's my handle.
Oh.
So it's on Instagram,
like
Twitter,
Vail, Colorado.
Well, I'm named that after Vail, Colorado. That's where my parents met.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my God.
So I do also like Vail, Colorado.
Yeah, okay. So I was right. That's what you're saying.
You were right. Damn it, that's 2 for you. Damn it. Oh God. But okay. Thank you guys for having me on. This was so much fun. I've had such a blast talking about the episode with you.
Oh, good. This is just such a fun podcast, and I love doing it with Cara every week. And I love that we get to have these different perspectives, having all these really fun people. So it really is such a pleasure having you. Before we go, Cara, where can people listen to Sweet Thang?
Yeah, you can listen to Sweet
other Instagram.
Yeah, you can listen to Sweet Things on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much wherever podcasts are. You can follow us at Sweet Things Podcast on Instagram. You can follow me at XOX_Cara on Instagram. And thank you, Frannie. This was so much fun getting to talk to you. It really was a lot of fun.
Yay!
Before we go, I do want to remind anybody, if you want to listen to some more Survivor Now, Stock Watch, as always, is tomorrow, Friday at 2 p.m. So make sure to check that, because I think that they got the read wrong this week. So they've got to make up for that. And then we've got something for you on Saturday at 3 p.m. So check that out. And then as always, remember to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. And as always, we love hanging out with you. We love talking about Survivor. So we'll see you next week, and stay social, everybody. Bye.
Bye.